In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the all-new 2025 ROG Strix G16, and this is a laptop that I've really been wanting to get my hands on, mainly because of the CPU we're using here. This has the all-new AMD Ryzen 9 9955HX 3D, 16 cores, 32 threads, and this is paired up with the new RTX graphics card. We'll talk more about that in just a bit, but it looks like we've got some new packaging for 2025 with the Strix line. And up top, you see we've got an ROG Nebula tag. Some people do get the Nebula branding a bit confused because a lot of people kind of go right to an OLED, but their Nebula line is across the board with the IPS or their OLED displays. And with this, we've got the IPS. They are offering the G16 in two different color variants. We've got the classic color here, but they also offer one with some lime green or neon green accents, which I do think looks really good. But getting right down to it, as soon as we open the unit up, you'll notice that we've got an RGB backlit keyboard here, fully programmable from Armory Crate, along with an RGB bar up front. Now, of course, when it comes to new keyboards on these laptops, we're going to get that Copilot key. And if you want to program this yourself, you definitely can from Armory Crate. But with the RGB I've got going on right now, it's just the rainbow preset. Personally, I think it looks really nice. And when it comes to the screen here, like I mentioned, this is their IPS level Nebula display. Obviously, with a name like G16, we've got a 16-inch panel here, 2.5K resolution, 240 hertz, 3 millisecond response time, 100% DCI-P3, and a 90% screen to body ratio. So we've got those super thin bezels. The cooling system's also been totally redesigned for 2025. Tri-fan cooling system here, full width heat sink, liquid metal, and full surround vents. I've been messing around with this laptop for about a week, and the keyboard here actually feels really nice. It's utilizing a chiclet style keyboard like most of the other ones on the market. We've got our Armory Crate key. From here, we can fully adjust the performance, and we can adjust the RGB on the front bar and the keyboard itself. Big trackpad, super smooth, and we can activate the number pad right here. It's pretty nice to have something like this. You just need to hold it for about a second, it'll come up. And once that's activated, you can't use it as a trackpad, but it's easy enough to turn on and off. Checking out the I/O here, over on the right-hand side, we've got two full-size USB 3.2 Gen 2 ports. And over on the left-hand side, we've got our power input, gigabit Ethernet, full-size HDMI 2.1 port, and dual USB 4, both capable of running up to 40 gigs. Plus, we've got a 3.5 millimeter audio jack. And of course, when it comes to the overall specs, like I mentioned, this is powered by the AMD Ryzen 9 9955HX 3D. This is a fire range APU, 16 cores, 32 threads. It'll clock up to 5.4 gigahertz, and since it's an X3D, we've got 144 megabytes of cache with this one. The laptop supports up to 64 gigabytes of DDR5 at 5600 megahertz, and for the GPU, we've got the NVIDIA GeForce RTX 5070 Ti laptop GPU, 12 gigabytes of GDDR7 VRAM, and ROG Boost takes this up to 1565 megahertz, and the TGP can reach 140 watts. We've also got two M.2 slots, so we can add a ton of storage here. Wi-Fi 6E, Bluetooth 5.3, 90 watt-hour battery, and with the included charger, it'll go from 0 to 50% in just 30 minutes, and this will come to you out of the box with Windows 11. Just getting in here a bit closer because there are a couple things that I want to show you here. And as you can see, we've got that Ryzen 9 9955HX 3D, 16 cores, 32 threads, and this thing's putting down some really good performance. And speaking of performance, if you want to adjust it, we can do it directly from Armory Crate. From the home section, basically main menu here, we've got a couple different profiles. Windows, that's just going to be based on, our power profile over there. Silent mode, performance, turbo, and for the most part, I've just been leaving it in turbo mode. In fact, with the benchmarks and everything you're going to see running in this video will be in turbo. But there's also a manual mode, and we can edit the manual mode from here. CPU control, fan control over there also, GPU and system fan. So we've got a 3-fan system here. But what I find interesting is, over on their website, it states that we can do up to 75 watts on the CPU. From manual mode, we've actually got an SPL, which is our sustained power limit of 120 watts, SPPT, 2 minutes, 140, and our FPPT, which is a 10-second boost up to 140. So Looks like we've got a sustained of 120 on this unit here. And again, we can fully control that fan. When it comes to that RTX 5070 Ti, base clock offset up by 200 megahertz, memory clock offset up by 300, dynamic boost up to 25 watts, and we can take the TGP to 115. So in total, with this RTX 4070 Ti in this laptop, we can reach up to around 140 watts. I'm gonna actually apply this because I wanted to see if we could really do up to 120 watts on this HX3D CPU. And for this, I'm going to be using CPU-Z. I've also got hardware info open up right here. I'll zoom in a bit so we can see exactly what this goes up to. But if I run a stress test on this APU, we actually have a boost up to 164 watts for 10 seconds. And it's probably going to come down to that 140 mark for 2 minutes. But yeah, it definitely looks like we can reach that 120 watt mark with this laptop. With that out of the way, the next thing I wanted to do was move over to some benchmarks that I ran on this laptop. And the first one we have here is Geekbench 6. This is looking phenomenal for a mobile chip. Single core 3088, multi 16620. And remember, we're in turbo mode here from Armory Crate. We could probably get a little more out of this if we go to manual mode. Next up, Cinebench R24. Single core 127, beating out everything on the list there, even the Apple M1 Max. And multi core is just kind of dominating. We've got 16 cores, 32 threads, coming in with a 2,115 score. Checking out some GPU benchmarks with 3D Mark. Steel Nomad, total score 4,008, and our FPS was right there at 40.09. Next one I ran was Port Royal. I wanted to test out some ray tracing here. We got a total score of 11,368 and an FPS of 52.63. And the final one we ran here was Time Spy, 16,915. I mean, this is desktop level performance here out of a laptop. It's looking really good so far, but these are synthetics. Now it's time to get into some real world gaming. The first one we have here is Cyberpunk 2077, 1600p, ultra settings, DLSS 4 set to quality, Afterburner up in the top left-hand corner, and you can see that our CPU at the bottom of the TDP, we're around 55 watts there. And when it comes to the TGP of that RTX 5070 Ti laptop variant, up to around 132 watts every once in a while. I think I might have seen it go up just a bit more than that. And we're seeing an average of around 85 FPS here in the market square, and this is definitely a harder area to kind of run on a laptop or basically anything. There's just a lot going on. And I'll tell you, I mean, this is really great. I don't mind playing it just like this, but I think we can get more out of this system. And I do want to stress that this will be the only game that we use frame gen in. We're actually going to be using DLSS 4 multi-frame gen in just a second, because I do want to enable some ray tracing. But up front, I'll show you this with no frame gen on. We're going to go to Ray Tracing Ultra here, DLSS 4 set to auto, and I don't think we're going to hit 60 with it at 1600p, and nope, it's just going to go right under, but it's actually better than I thought. Now, we've got DLSS 4 set to auto, so it is kind of lowering that resolution, but DLSS 4 does a really good job at making the game still look great. And I wouldn't doubt that it's actually taking DLSS to around the performance preset here because it's set to auto, so it's automatically going to do that for us. But there's still one more thing that we can do here. And with this, I'm actually going to go to Ray Tracing Overdrive because I got a good feeling with some multi-frame gen here, it's going to work great. I've got to reboot the game in order for this to work. But as soon as I got into it here at 1600p, Ray Tracing Overdrive, DLSS 4 Auto, and Multi-Frame Gen set to X4, we're over 100 FPS on average with Ray Tracing Overdrive enabled. But we've got a lot of fake frames here. I mean, going from, that Ray Tracing Ultra, an average of around 54 FPS, up to over 100 FPS. It really seems that more than half these frames have to be fake frames because, even with ray tracing set to ultra there, we just weren't at 60, and overdrive really kind of kills any system. Next game I wanted to test here was Spider-Man 2. We're at 1600p, very high, DLSS set to quality, and I was really hoping to just get a much higher frame rate than this with no DLSS enabled. But this game here has run into some issues with recent updates on every system that I've tested. Don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining. We're seeing averages over 90 FPS with it, even during battle, so it's still really playable. Marvel Rivals is another one that I wanted to test. 1600p, Ultra, DLSS balance, no frame gen. Like I mentioned, the only game we were going to test frame gen in was Cyberpunk because of all that ray tracing going on. With this, looking pretty good, average of 108 FPS with these settings. And if you wanted to get any more out of it, you could lower that resolution down. This game here still looks great at 1200p or 1080, depending on the aspect ratio of your display. And you can reach over 140 FPS on average. I also tested Shadow of the Tomb Raider just using the built-in benchmark. Highest settings, no DLSS, average of 136 FPS, and I knew we'd do a pretty decent job with this one. I also ran the built-in benchmark for Black Myth Wukong. Very high settings, DLSS set to 60%, no frame generation. We had an average of 64 FPS, and this is one of those games that really puts a hurting on any system, especially when you start going up to that very high or ultra settings. And then past that, we've got cinematic settings. And the final game I wanted to show off here was Doom the Dark Ages, 1600p, Ultra, DLSS, balanced, no frame gen. Looking at an average of around 78 FPS. And as long as I can get this game booted up, most systems that I've tested have performed pretty well with this. I know it's still a bit early. Hopefully, we get some more optimizations. Because when it comes down to it, thinking about something like Doom Eternal, that's just a very well optimized game, and it also took them a little while to get there, so I think they can do it with the Dark Ages also. Overall, what we have here is a really solid gaming laptop, and I'm glad that they do offer that 9955HX. I mean, having those 16 cores and 32 threads is a bit overkill for gaming, but something like this could also be used for work, and having those extra cores and threads to spare can come in real handy. If AMD does kind of announce a newer 9000 series laptop GPU, it'd be nice to have something like this with that. But right now, I mean, the best you can get in a laptop is going to be RTX 5000. And I think the 5070 Ti does offer some really good performance here. I will be spending a little more time with this laptop and I might make another video. So if you want to see anything else running on this laptop, let me know in the comments below. And if you're interested in learning a little more about the 2025 ROG Strix 16, I'll leave links in the description. But that's going to wrap it up for this one. Like always, thanks for watching.